In this video, we will have a look at brand equity perspectives, a case of Volkswagen. But first, we need to understand what brand equity means. When the word equity comes to mind, one would think of shares and value, which is true. However, we consider brand equity in the context of branding. Branding is a pivotal societal construct as little remains unbranded in today's modern world. We all know when we purchase products or acquire services, everything has a name or a brand attached to it. So let's define it. Brand equity is defined as a set of assets and liabilities linked to a brand, its name and symbol that adds to our subtracts from the value provided by a product or a service to a firm and or to that firm's customers. A more detailed definition of brand equity characterizes it as a value of the brand that derives from high levels of brand loyalty, perceived quality, name awareness, and strong brand associations, which are some of the foundational dimensions of brand equity, as well as assets like trademarks, patents, and distribution channels that are associated with that specific brand. Other authors suggest that brand equity is a set of assets and liabilities that are linked to the brand, its name and symbol, that add to the value that is provided by the brand. These assets and liabilities in the context of brand equity are grouped into 5 categories, namely brand loyalty, recognition, perceived quality, brand associations, and other brand assets like patents, trademarks, and relationships within distribution channels. And this is part of the comprehensive definition. More details on these brand equity dimensions in episode 7. 2 other shorter definitions of brand equity would be the differential effect of brand knowledge on consumer response to the marketing of the brand, or a bridge between the marketing investments in the company's products to create the brand and the customer's brand knowledge. With the brand definition or the definition of brand equity in mind, we have to refer to 3 brand equity perspectives, and this includes financial perspectives, consumer perspective, and employee perspective, and we will have a look or a close view of examples for Volkswagen. From a financial perspective, brand equity can be defined as the financial value that a company or organization derives from consumers' responses to the marketing of their specific brand. The question we have to ask is there a difference between brand equity and brand value? What sets these 2 concepts apart is the fact that brand equity is concerned with the importance of brand to a consumer or a company or organization, while brand value is like a rand value sign or dollar signs, and this refers to the financial asset that the company or organization records on its balance sheet. If we have a look at the image top left, this is from Statista, and this is the movement of Volkswagen's brand equity from 2008 to 2021, and you can see a great increase in their equity. Have a close look at 2015, which we will get to consumer perspective, that despite this scandal, it dropped slightly, but from that it had exponential growth. So statistically, if you interpret that graph, the Volkswagen brand is worth quite a lot, millions and millions of euros. But if we think in terms of other cars from the financial perspective, if you compare this to a similar car from a different car manufacturer, you pay a lot more for a Volkswagen than you would for that same car with the same specs. And we have to ask ourselves, why is this the case? Why are people willing to spend more on a Volkswagen for the brand? Because remember, cost production-wise, it might be the same as a different car, but they can charge more because of their financial equity in the minds of the consumers. So they charge more for this vehicle as opposed to a similar offering from a different car manufacturer, and people are willing to pay for this. Why is this the case? Why do they also keep their value when it comes to trading and reselling? And this is why we have to look at the consumer perspective of brand equity. The featured authors mention that modern-day consumers are demanding and not only seek functional benefits, but are also looking for intangible brand advantages such as status, image, lifestyle, success, personality, and other factors that can be strongly identified as benefits. These advantages add up to create brand value, and this is exactly why some people are willing to spend more for premium brands than it would be for a functional product, because they resonate with the brand or it's a certain status symbol. Think of Porsche or Mercedes. These are exclusive, high-style, high-priced vehicles. And yet, functionally wise, they could do with a different manufacturer, but they're willing to pay for that because they have a lifestyle or image to uphold. From a consumer's point of view, a brand with high equity enhances the credibility of the information provided by this product, reduces perceived risk, reduces the consumer's need to think, and on the whole, enhances the consumer's utility from the product or brand. So this is all based on consumers' perspectives. But if they trust a brand and a brand with high equity is more trustworthy, they don't think twice about it. And this is why the Volkswagen 2015 scandal is such a much debated debacle that occurred during that year. Still, they weren't really as affected, maybe a little affected, losing some loyal customers. But as you saw on the previous slide, that their equity increased quite a lot since 2015. Furthermore, the consumer perspective advocates that equity is achieved when consumers are familiar with the brand and hold favorable, strong and unique brand associations in their memories. If they are satisfied with their first Volkswagen vehicle, then they are more than likely to keep on purchasing this brand. Or if they have a favorable image of this from media, then they might also do that. And then Kotler and Keller also suggest that customer equity emphasizes the importance of customer loyalty and the idea that brands create value by having as many customers possibly pay a high price as possible. So, the more people believe that Volkswagen is, as you can see on the top left, the people's car, then obviously they will become loyal and advocate this to their relatives or family members or colleagues or peers. And then Volkswagen ends up with more people willing to spend more on their product, even if it's not realistically, compared to others, that much higher of a quality. It's all about the consumer's perspective and making them believe that you are selling the best alternative. And therefore, it leaves a higher margin for profit. But we also need to understand the employee perspective. The employees are the assets of a company and serve as ambassadors for the organization or the brand. So all of the employees from Volkswagen. Jungbaum suggests or theorizes that there are 3 dimensions of employee perspective, namely brand knowledge, role clarity, and brand commitment. In other words, the Volkswagen employees must have knowledge about the brand and the role that they play in the company or for the brand, and must commit to the brand or company. You can't have disassociated employees that cannot even advocate or be an ambassador for your brand. That is linked to internal branding. This has the potential for them forging an organizational identity and thus considering themselves to be an integral part of the organization. And again, linking to internal branding, you need to ensure, or Volkswagen needs to ensure, that all of their employees are ambassadors for the brand and provide their best and really continue to innovate to increase this brand. Other authors also indicate that from a marketing perspective, brand equity results in increasing employees' positive feelings towards the organizational brand, in this case Volkswagen, and that decreases the likelihood of an employee that will migrate to competitors. Because the issue with this, if a company cannot retain their valuable assets, for example, their employees with all of the knowledge and skills, then they will leave them or lose them for competitors, and they take with them intellectual properties, and that is a big risk. Volkswagen, for example, need to ensure that from ground level to top level, they need to make sure they retain their valuable assets so that they don't lose them for competitors. This will ensure a solid brand with ambassadors and continue to build the brand equity. So hopefully you understand what brand equity is all about, as well as the 3 important perspectives. Watch out for episode 7 as we deal with the dimensions of brand equity. Thanks for watching.